Chapter 1. Depth. 0 meters, the Geographic Lie. Maps are a human invention designed to make us feel like we own this planet. But if you look at a satellite feed of the Pacific, you realize our maps are a desperate cope. There are vast dead zones in the ocean where the water behaves with a terrifying rhythmic precision. We are told these are simply currents, or thermal layers, or biological deserts where nothing can survive. That is the first lie you were taught so you can sleep at night. The ocean is not a body of water. It is a camouflage for a geography that rejects our existence. We are beginning a journey to the coordinates the world's navies have quietly scrubbed from public records. We are looking for the anomalies, the places where the sonar goes silent and the compasses spin in circles. Prepare yourself, because the deeper we go, the more you will realize that nature is just a word for things we haven't learned to fear yet. Chapter 2. Depth. 400 meters. The echo of Point Nemo in the heart of the South Pacific lies a place called Point Nemo, the pole of inaccessibility. It is the furthest point from any land on Earth. The closest humans are usually the astronauts in the International Space Station. NASA uses this graveyard to crash decommissioned satellites because they believe it is a lifeless, watery void. But in 1997, the underwater microphones of the NOAA picked up a sound that shook the scientific world. They called it the bloop, a low-frequency, ultra-powerful sound that traveled over 5,000 kilometers through the dark. For years, they claimed it was an icequake, a simple cracking of a glacier in Antarctica. But icequakes don't have a rhythmic, organic pulse. They don't sound like a lung expanding and contracting. If the bloop was biological, the entity producing it would have to be larger than a blue whale. It would have to be the size of a small city, drifting in the crushing silence of the abyss. At Point Nemo, the water is too far from land to have nutrients, which means nothing should be able to eat. Yet something down there is breathing, and it is loud enough to be heard by an entire hemisphere. When you're at Point Nemo, you aren't just alone in the ocean. You're standing on the ceiling of a massive sleeping throat. Chapter 3. Depth. 2,000 meters. The blue hole paradox as we move toward the continental shelves. We find the blue hole's vertical caves that plunge into the earth. The diver, they look like a sapphire eye staring up from the turquoise shallows of the Caribbean. But once you pass the 100-meter mark, the water changes from oxygen-rich blue to a toxic sulfurous purple. There is a layer of hydrogen sulfide gas that acts as a false floor, trapping the light above. Beneath this veil, there is no oxygen, no light, and no escape for anything that falls through. Divers describe it as the Museum of Death, where the bodies of prehistoric creatures are perfectly preserved. Because there are no bacteria to rot the flesh, a shark that died 1,000 years ago looks like it died yesterday. But scientists have found something even more disturbing at the bottom of the Great Blue Hole in Belize. They found tracks dragging indentations in the silt that lead into the limestone walls of the cave. These tracks were made by something heavy, moving with a deliberate slow motion, crawl into the darkness. There are no known animals that can survive in the anoxic, poisonous water at that depth. Whatever made those tracks doesn't need to breathe. It only needs to wait for the next thing to fall. The blue holes are not just caves, they're the ocean's digestive system, slowly consuming the curiosity of the surface world. Chapter 4. Depth. 5,000 meters. The abyssal geometry. We are now in the Great Silence, the abyssal plain, where the pressure would turn a human skull into fine white powder. Here, the ocean floor is covered in manganese nodules, strange metallic rocks that take millions of years to grow. But in 2021, deep-sea submersibles found something that the mathematical models said was impossible. They found perfectly straight lines, miles long, carved into the seabed at 5,000 meters deep. These are not the result of currents, and they are not the tracks of any known submarine or mining vessel. They form geometric patterns, hexagons, and interlocking circles that cover hundreds of square miles of the abyss. Some call them the pavements of the deep, suggesting a structure that was built before the oceans even existed. But the truth is more biological, and infinitely more unsettling than any sunken city. These patterns are made by an entity known as Paleodiction nodosum, a creature that no human has ever seen alive. We only see the burrows it leaves behind, perfect honeycomb structures etched into the mud. Biologists have tried to trap the creature, to film it, to bring even a single cell to the surface. Every attempt has failed. Traps come up empty. or the cameras are mysteriously disabled by electromagnetic interference. It is an entity that exists only as a shape, a geometric ghost that has inhabited the abyss for 500 million years. It is a master of the forbidden map, building its silent empire in the one place we can never truly touch. Chapter 5. Depth. 8,000 meters. The Hadean resurrection. We are entering the trenches, the scars where the Earth's crust is being swallowed by the mantle. This is the Hadal Zone, named after the Greek underworld, and it is where evolution goes to die. We are taught that extinction is final, that once a species is gone, it never returns. But the deeper we go into the Mariana Trench, the more we find Lazarus taxa beings that should be dead. We have found fragments of biology that match the fossil records of the Cambrian explosion. In the crushing dark, time does not move forward. It loops in a permanent, freezing stasis. There are entities down here that have no eyes because they have forgotten what light is over millions of years. They communicate through vibration, a silent, rhythmic language that can be felt through the hull of a submarine. When the first explorers reached the bottom of the Challenger Deep, they described seeing a white, shimmering carpet. They thought it was sand, but as the lights hit it, the carpet began to ripple and move away. It was a massive, interconnected colony of amphipods, acting as a single, hive-minded organism. In the trenches, the concept of the individual disappears. Life becomes a collective, a singular, pulsing wall of hunger. This is the resurrection of a world that existed before the dinosaurs, a world that is waiting for the surface to fail. Chapter 6. Depth. 11,000 meters. The Eldritch horizon. We have reached the absolute limit of the descent. The floor of the world? At this depth, the water is so compressed that it feels more like a solid gel than a liquid. The pressure is 1,000 times greater than the air you are breathing right now. And it is here, in the final shadow, that we encounter the true master of the forbidden map. It is the entity you saw on the thumbnail, the one they told you was a myth, or a glitch in the camera. Dub. The Bigfin squid is not a squid. It is a specialized Eldritch sensor for something much larger. Its arms are not for swimming. They are thin, miles-long filaments that drift in the water like spider silk. It is an antenna, a biological receiver that monitors the vibrations of the entire ocean. When you see a bigfin squid, you aren't looking at a hunter. You are looking at the eyes of the abyss. It hangs perfectly still, its elbows bent at unnatural geometric angles, watching the metal intruders from the surface. It doesn't attack because it doesn't have to. It is simply waiting for the pressure to do the work for it. We have found that these entities are connected by a network of bioluminescent signals that span the entire trench. They are a nervous system for the planet, a hidden intelligence that has been mapping us while we were mapping them. The forbidden map is not a secret kept by humans. It is a secret kept by the ocean itself. Every time we send a probe down, we are not exploring. We are being invited into a trap. The abyss doesn't just look back at you. It has been expecting you for a very, very long time. You are not a visitor in this world. You are a piece of organic matter that has finally come home to the dark. The silence of the deep, the deeper you go, the more you realize that the ocean is not a place for life. It is a place for something else, something eldritch, something permanent, and something that does not care about our science. We will keep sending our cameras, and we will keep drawing our maps, hoping to find a logic that comforts us. But the entities in the dark will keep moving their long, thin filaments, waiting for the silence to return. The ocean is 95% unexplored, and after seeing what hides in the other 5%, perhaps that is for the best. Sleep well, knowing that 11,000 meters below your bed, something massive is pulsing, and it is finally, deeply aware of you.